Stories teach us life lessons in a simple way. They inspire and guide us to become better. The topic "Don't show off, the art of quiet success" is important because showing off can make others uncomfortable, while quiet success earns respect. Listening to English stories also helps you learn new words and improve your understanding. So, let's enjoy a story that will make you think and grow. The night was quiet, and the small town of Maplewood was sleeping peacefully. Inside a modest little house, 12-year-old Lucy sat on the floor of her bedroom, staring at an old wooden box she had found in the attic. The box had the initials JW carved on it, and a lock that seemed almost ancient. Lucy's curiosity burned as she wondered what secrets it might hold. Could it be treasure? Letters? Something magical? Her heart raced as she held the box, and just then, her mother called her downstairs for dinner. Coming, Lucy shouted, hiding the box under her bed. She couldn't wait to return to her room and open it later. At dinner, her older brother, Michael, was bragging about the new bike he had bought with his summer job money. "It's the best bike in town," he said proudly, listing all the features to their parents. Lucy watched her parents smile politely, but she could tell they weren't very impressed. Her dad simply said, "That's great, Michael. Just remember, actions speak louder than words." Lucy didn't understand what her dad meant at first. She thought about the box upstairs, wondering if it might teach her something about actions and words. Later that night, when everyone was asleep, Lucy tiptoed to her room and took the box out again. She used a hairpin to pick the old lock. It clicked open with a soft sound. Inside, she found a journal. Its pages were yellowed with time, but the handwriting was neat and careful. The first line read, "The story of John Walker, the man who succeeded in silence." Lucy began reading eagerly, and soon she was pulled into John Walker's world. John Walker was a quiet man who lived in Maplewood many years ago. He wasn't wealthy or famous, but he had one thing: everyone admired: wisdom. He was a carpenter by trade, building beautiful furniture. But what set him apart was how he carried himself. John never boasted about his skills. Even when he created something amazing, like a chair so comfortable it felt magical, he let his work speak for itself. One day, a wealthy man named Mr. Grayson visited John's workshop. Mr. Grayson was known for his arrogance and loved to show off his riches. He came to order a table for his grand dining room. "Make me the finest table this town has ever seen," he demanded, "and when it's done, I'll tell everyone it's from my design." John smiled quietly and agreed. He spent weeks crafting the table, putting all his heart and skill into it. The table turned out to be a masterpiece. But instead of seeking praise, John simply delivered it and thanked Mr. Grayson for the opportunity. When Mr. Grayson held a grand party to show off the table, people were amazed. They asked who had made it, but Mr. Grayson took all the credit. However, as time passed, the truth came out. People discovered John's quiet craftsmanship, and they respected him even more. Lucy stopped reading for a moment and thought about her brother Michael. He was always talking about his achievements, but people didn't seem to admire him the way she thought they would. She wondered if her dad's words about actions speaking louder than words were connected to John Walker's story. The journal continued with more stories about John Walker, each one teaching a lesson. There was the time he helped rebuild the school after a fire without asking for recognition, or when he repaired the town's clock tower, quietly leaving it to surprise everyone. Each time, John gained respect, not by boasting, but by letting his actions shine. The next day, Lucy decided to try something new. At school, instead of telling everyone about the cool things she had done during the weekend, she focused on listening to her friends. She noticed how happy they were when she gave them her full attention. At home, when her mom asked her to clean her room, she did it without complaining. Her mom smiled and said, "Thank you, Lucy. That means a lot." Lucy felt good. She realized that being humble and focusing on her actions, like John Walker, made her happier. As Lucy finished reading the journal that night, she found one last piece of advice written by John Walker. Success is not about what you say, but what you do. Let your work speak for itself, and you will earn true respect. Lucy smiled and closed the journal. She decided she would follow John Walker's example and practice the art of quiet success. This story teaches us that showing off may get attention for a moment, but quiet success lasts forever. When we focus on our work, people notice our actions. To live this way, you can. Let your work shine instead of talking about how great you are. Show it through your actions. Stay humble, remember. There's always more to learn. Help others quietly. Good deeds don't need an audience. The most beautiful thought to take away is this: true success doesn't need a spotlight. It glows naturally, touching the hearts of others. Lucy's discovery of John Walker's journal sparked a fire within her. She couldn't stop thinking about how someone so humble could leave such a lasting legacy. That night, as the moonlight filtered through her window, she decided to look for more lessons in her everyday life. The next morning, a new story began to unfold, this time closer to home. At school, her teacher, Mrs. Bennett, announced an art competition. The winner's artwork will be displayed at the town library, she said. Lucy loved drawing, but her best friend, Mia, was even better. Mia, however, didn't believe in her talent. You should enter, Lucy encouraged Mia after class. Mia shook her head. What's the point? I'm not good enough. Lucy remembered John Walker's quiet confidence. Instead of arguing, she decided to help Mia without making a big deal about it. Over the next week, Lucy stayed after school with Mia, giving her encouragement and helping her perfect her drawing. On the day of the competition, Mia's painting of a serene forest won first place. Everyone clapped for her, but Mia's eyes were full of gratitude as she hugged Lucy. I couldn't have done this without you, she whispered. Lucy smiled. She hadn't entered the competition herself, but helping Mia succeed felt even better. She realized another lesson sometimes. True success is lifting others up without expecting anything in return. Meanwhile, in the quiet town of Maplewood, another story was quietly brewing. James Carter, a middle-aged man who worked at the local grocery store, was known for his reserved nature. He wasn't the type to talk about his life or boast about his achievements. Few people knew that James had been secretly paying off debts for families struggling in the community. Every week, he'd set aside part of his modest paycheck to help someone anonymously. One day, the mayor announced a special award for acts of kindness in the town. People began speculating about who would win. Some thought it might be Mrs. Palmer, the bakery owner who gave free bread to children. Others guessed it might be Mr. Harris, who fixed bicycles for free. When James's name was called at the award ceremony, the crowd gasped in surprise. James stepped onto the stage, his face red with embarrassment. I don't deserve this, he said softly into the microphone. But the mayor smiled. You may not think so, James, but your actions have touched so many lives. Thank you for showing us the true meaning of generosity. That night, James returned home with a heart full of gratitude. He hadn't sought recognition, but it found him because of his quiet kindness. Lucy read about James Carter in the town newspaper the next day. It felt like John Walker's story had come to life right in her own neighborhood. Inspired, she decided to practice even more acts of quiet success. One evening, Lucy saw her elderly neighbor, Mr. Thompson, struggling to carry groceries into his house. Without a word, she ran over to help. Thank you, young lady, Mr. Thompson said with a smile. What's your name? Lucy shrugged playfully. Just someone who likes to help. That small act of kindness made her day. She realized that quiet success wasn't about being famous, it was about making someone else's day better. Lucy also noticed her brother, Michael, starting to change. After hearing their dad's words about actions, Michael stopped bragging so much about his bike. Instead, he began offering rides to friends who didn't have one. Soon, his classmates started calling him the nicest guy in school. One day, Michael came home smiling. "You know, Lucy, it feels better to do something good without talking about it. People notice anyway." Lucy grinned. "I told you so." Another memorable story came from Lucy's classmate Ethan. Ethan was quiet and often sat alone at lunch. Many assumed he didn't have much to say, but Lucy saw him sketching intricate designs in his notebook one day. "Wow, Ethan. These are amazing," Lucy said. Ethan blushed. "Thanks, but they're just doodles." "They're more than that," Lucy said. "You should enter the school's design contest." Ethan hesitated, but Lucy's encouragement gave him the courage to try. Weeks later, Ethan's design won the contest, and he was invited to present it at a local art fair. Ethan's quiet success inspired the whole school, proving that even the shyest person can shine when their work speaks for itself. As Lucy grew older, she continued living by the lessons she had learned. She didn't need to brag about her grades or accomplishments. Instead, she let her actions and kindness define her. And slowly, she noticed how people respected her not because she talked about her achievements, but because they could see her values in everything she did. Here are more tips to practice the art of quiet success. Listen more. Speak less, pay attention to what others say. Listening makes people feel valued. Do good without expectation. Acts of kindness are more meaningful when done selflessly. Stay focused on growth instead of seeking attention. Focus on improving yourself. Success will follow. Celebrate others' wins. Cheer for others' achievements without jealousy or comparison. Be patient. Quiet success takes time, but it's always worth the wait. Improving your English speaking skills can feel like a big task, right? Have you ever thought about why some people speak English fluently while others struggle? Is there a secret to it? Could it be something you're missing? Imagine this: you're in a room full of people and they're all speaking English. They sound confident. They don't hesitate. They express their thoughts clearly. You might feel nervous or unsure about speaking up. But what if I told you that you can be just like them? What if there was a way to improve your speaking skills? Wouldn't that be amazing? Now, I know you might be wondering, how can I do that? What steps do I need to take? It's a good question, and I'm glad you asked. The answer is not as difficult as it may seem. Let me take you on a journey. Step by step, I will show you how you can improve your English speaking skills. Are you ready? Let's begin. The first thing you need to do is practice. Yes, practice is key. But it's not just about saying words over and over. It's about using English every day. Find small ways to practice. You can start by speaking to yourself. Say something in English every day, even if it's just for a minute or two. Look around your house. What do you see? Describe it in English. For example, if you're sitting in a room, you might say, I am sitting in a room. There is a table in front of me. On the table, there is a cup. Even simple sentences like these help. The more you speak, the better you get. This is the first step to improving your English. Now, the next thing to focus on is listening. You might be wondering, why should I listen? I'm trying to speak, not listen. But actually, listening is just as important as speaking. When you listen to English, you learn how native speakers talk. You hear the rhythm of the language, the way words are pronounced, and how sentences flow. There are many ways to practice listening. You can watch movies, listen to songs, or follow podcasts in English. Start with something simple. Maybe a children's show or a podcast designed for learners. The more you listen, the more you will understand. It will help you get used to the sounds and the patterns of the language. Don't worry if you don't understand everything at first. Over time, you will catch more words, phrases, and expressions. This will help you when it's your turn to speak. So, how do you improve your speaking skills? By listening first, and then trying to speak in the same way. If you hear someone say a sentence, try repeating it. Don't worry about making mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, even native speakers. The third important step is building your vocabulary. The more words you know, the more you can say. But remember, knowing many words is not enough. You need to know how to use them correctly in sentences. The goal is not just to learn new words, but also to learn when and how to use them. A great way to build your vocabulary is by reading. Find simple books or articles that interest you. Don't worry about reading difficult things right away. Start with easy content that you enjoy. When you come across a word you don't know, write it down. Look up its meaning and then try to use it in a sentence. For example, if you learn the word exciting, you might say, "This movie is exciting," or "The match was very exciting." The more you practice using new words, the more they will become part of your everyday speech. One helpful tip is to learn phrases, not just words. Phrases are groups of words that are commonly used together. For example, how are you or what's going on? Instead of just learning individual words like good or happy, learn these useful phrases. They will help you speak more naturally. The fourth step to improving your English speaking skills is practicing with others. While practicing alone is useful, speaking with others is where the real magic happens. This is where you can test your skills, get feedback, and learn new things. It's also where you can make mistakes, which is perfectly fine. Making mistakes is a part of learning, and it's how you improve. One way to practice with others is to find a language partner. This could be someone who speaks English or someone who is also learning English. You can practice speaking with them, listen to them, and correct each other. This type of exchange is incredibly helpful because you learn from each other's mistakes and successes. If you don't have a language partner, don't worry. You can also join online groups or language exchange apps. There are many platforms where you can chat with people from around the world. Whether it's through text, voice messages, or video calls, these platforms can connect you with others who are learning or who already speak English fluently. Another option is to join local or online English speaking clubs. These groups allow you to practice speaking in a supportive environment. The more you speak with others, the more confident you'll feel. So, do you see how practicing with others helps? It's like playing a sport. The more you play, the better you get. The fifth step is working on your pronunciation. You may know a lot of words and phrases, but if you don't say them clearly, it can be hard for others to understand you. Improving your pronunciation is key to speaking confidently and being understood by others. There are many ways to improve pronunciation. One method is to listen and repeat. As you listen to English, pay close attention to how words are pronounced. Then, try to say them out loud, just like the speaker. Start with words that are difficult for you and repeat them until they feel more natural. You can also use apps or websites that focus on pronunciation. Many of them allow you to listen to native speakers and then try to imitate the sounds. Over time, this practice will help you sound more like a native speaker. Another way to improve your pronunciation is to record yourself speaking. It may feel strange at first, but it's very helpful. Record a short conversation, listen to it, and then compare it to how native speakers talk. Notice where you might sound different, and try again. By doing this, you can see your progress and focus on areas that need improvement. A good tip is to focus on intonation and stress. Intonation is the rise and fall of your voice while speaking. Stress is how you emphasize certain words in a sentence. Both of these can change the meaning of a sentence. For example, the question "you're coming" right sounds different from the statement "you're coming." Right, the first one has a rising intonation, and the second has a more neutral tone. The sixth tip for improving your English speaking skills is thinking in English. This might sound a little strange at first, but it's one of the most powerful things you can do. When you learn a new language, it's easy to fall into the habit of translating everything from your own language into English. But this takes time and can slow you down. Instead, try to think directly in English. When you're walking down the street, for example, try to describe what you see in English without translating it from your first language. If you see a dog, Instead of thinking, I see a dog in your language, just think, I see a dog in English. This helps you speak more naturally and without hesitation. Thinking in English also helps you remember words faster. The more you practice thinking in English, the more it will become second nature. You'll be able to speak with more confidence and fluency because your brain will start to connect English words to your thoughts, not to translations. One way to help with thinking in English is to immerse yourself in the language. Watch English TV shows, read books, or listen to music. Try to stay in environments where English is spoken. This constant exposure will help you get used to thinking in English, even when you're not actively practicing. The seventh tip is expanding your confidence. One of the biggest challenges when learning a language is the fear of making mistakes. It's normal to feel nervous about speaking in English, especially if you're worried about saying something wrong. But let me tell you something, mistakes are part of the learning process. Everyone makes them, even native speakers. The key is to embrace your mistakes. Don't let fear stop you from speaking. Every time you make a mistake, you're actually learning. You're discovering what works and what doesn't. The more you speak, the better you get. So the first step is to believe in yourself. You're already doing great by trying to improve. One trick to build confidence is to start with small conversations. If you're shy, you don't need to jump into a big discussion. Start by speaking to one person, maybe a friend or a teacher. You can even practice with your family members or classmates. If you feel nervous, take a deep breath and remember it's okay to make mistakes. The more you practice, the less nervous you'll feel. Another way to boost confidence is to set achievable goals. For example, tell yourself, today, I will learn 5 new words, or this week, I will speak for 5 minutes in English every day. Having small goals helps you focus and gives you a sense of accomplishment. As you meet each goal, your confidence will grow, and you'll want to keep speaking more. Remember, confidence is built over time. The more you speak, the stronger you'll become. So go ahead and start speaking without fear. You're doing great. The 8th tip to improve your speaking skills is using English in real-life situations. It's one thing to practice in a classroom or with a language partner, but it's another thing entirely to use English when you're out and about in the world. This is where your skills can really shine. Try to find real-life opportunities to use English. If you're in an English-speaking country, practice speaking with store clerks, waiters, or people in your neighborhood. If you're not in an English-speaking country, you can still find opportunities. For example, when you're traveling, you can use English to ask for directions or order food. Or, if you're in an online community, chat in English whenever you can. Using English in real life is helpful because it's not just about knowing the words, it's about understanding the context in which the words are used. For instance, you might learn how to order food in a restaurant or how to ask for help in an emergency. These are practical skills that will help you in everyday life. If you're not in a situation where you can practice speaking face-to-face, you can practice through online conversations. There are many websites and apps where you can talk to people around the world, whether it's through text, voice messages, or video calls. Real-life practice is the key to improving your speaking. Another helpful way to use English in real life is to immerse yourself in English-speaking content. For example, you could read English news articles, write in an English journal, or watch tutorials on YouTube. This will allow you to hear and see how native speakers communicate in different situations, helping you become more comfortable with real-life English. The 9th tip for improving your English speaking skills is being patient and consistent. Learning any new skill, especially a language, takes time. You might not see quick results at first, and that's completely okay. Patience is key. It's important to stay consistent with your practice, even when it feels hard or slow. One of the best ways to stay consistent is to set aside a little bit of time every day for speaking practice. Even if it's just for 10 or 15 minutes. Regular practice will help you improve faster than if you only practice once in a while. You don't need to spend hours speaking every day. Small, consistent efforts add up over time. Try not to compare your progress to others. Everyone learns at their own pace. Some days you might feel like you're not improving. But remember, this is normal. Don't get discouraged. Over time, you'll start to notice that you can understand more, speak more easily, and feel more confident. Another important part of consistency is setting realistic expectations. You're not going to become fluent overnight. But if you continue practicing regularly and stay patient with yourself, you'll see steady improvement. You can also create a study routine. For example, practice speaking on Mondays, listen to English on Tuesdays, and read on Wednesdays. By sticking to a routine, your skills will grow without feeling overwhelming.